Snow hugged Erin's coat as she stepped into the small roadside diner, the doorbell chiming softly behind her. The place was warm, quiet, the kind of place that made her feel like she was intruding. She picked a booth by the window, set her phone on the table, and checked it. Once, twice, a third time, even a fourth, before telling the waitress that she just wanted a coffee. She stared out at the dark highway while her coffee steamed beside her. She looked tired, restless even. She was thinking too much. After 20 minutes of looking through her phone and drinking her coffee, she paid her bill, thanked the waitress, and headed back out into the cold. The door chimed again as it closed behind her. The sky was already bruising to a deep purple when Erin crossed that state line. Snow drifted over the 2-lane highway, dissolving against her windshield before the wipers smeared them away. It wasn't a blizzard, not yet, but the wind carried a promise that the night would turn ugly. Erin tightened her grip on the steering wheel and leaned forward, squinting at the endless dark ahead. She was close now, just 3 more hours until she reached her dad's cabin, her first Christmas home in 5 years. She checked the clock. 7:13 p.m. Her dad was probably pacing by now. He always did when she traveled long distances. Despite being 62, he still had the bearing of a man who had carried more than he had ever said. He'd raised her differently than most kids, teaching her to build fires before she learned to ride a bike, showing her how to clean a fish before she could write her name. He called it preparing her for the world, though not everyone agreed, especially her mother. Erin still remembered one night, the shouting behind a closed door, her mother saying a child shouldn't grow up afraid, her father saying a child needed to grow up ready. Her mother left a week later. Back then, Erin blamed him for it. She shook the memory away and turned up the heater. About 30 minutes to an hour later, the first sign of trouble came through the steering wheel. A faint wobble, a soft thump thump thump. Erin frowned and eased off the gas. Not now. The wobbling grew worse, the car pulling slightly right. A flat tire, it had to be. Erin cursed under her breath as the car lurched. She coasted onto the narrow shoulder where the snow had piled into uneven mounds. When the vehicle finally rolled to a stop, the silence felt too big. She checked her phone. No signal. One bar flickered, then vanished. Of course there's no signal, she muttered, trying to laugh but hearing how thin it sounded. Perfect, just perfect. Erin grabbed her coat, pulled her hoodie up, and stepped out into the cold. Her boots sank into the snow as she circled to the passenger's side. The front right tire was flat. She stood there, exhaling clouds into the air, weighing her options. No cell service, no town for miles, no passing cars in the last hour. The woods pressed in around her, tall and black, their branches clawing toward the sky. She wasn't scared yet, just irritated. She had grown up in places like this. She popped the trunk and rummaged for the jack and spare tire. The cold took hold of her fingers, but she worked fast. Her dad's voice floated in memory. Keep calm. Cold makes people stupid. She smiled faintly. As she dug deeper into the trunk, her numb fingers slipped. Her hand slammed against the metal edge, a sharp sting followed by a tiny snap. She hissed under her breath and looked down. One of her fake nails had cracked clean off and fallen into the snow at her feet. Great, she muttered, shaking her hand and blowing warm breath into her fingers. Not the time. She brushed it away with the side of her boot and kept searching. Then the sound came. A loud crack. Not a branch, not ice falling from a tree, but a gunshot, far off in the distance. Erin froze, crouched by her car and holding her breath tightly. Another shot rang out, louder this time. It sounded closer. Then came voices, 2 men laughing, boots crunching through the snow. Erin straightened slowly, her pulse quickening. She didn't see them until they stepped out of the tree line. 2 hunters in camo, rifles slung over their shoulders, bright orange vests glowing faintly through the dusk. The taller one lifted a hand. Friendly. A little too friendly. "Evening, miss," he called out. "Car trouble?" Erin forced a tight smile. "Flat tire. Lucky night, huh?" The shorter hunter grinned, revealing yellow teeth. "Lucky for you, we were passing through trying to track our game. Not many folks out this way." Her stomach tightened. Something about the way he looked at her. Not hungry, not predatory, but aware. Aware in a way that made her skin prick. Still, she stayed polite. Her dad raised her to read people, not provoke them. "I've got a spare, but it's flat and cracked. No way I can use it. If you guys have a patch kit or something, I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to get to Red Ridge before the storm hits." The tall one tilted his head as if considering. His eyes looked friendly, but there was a dullness behind them. "You're headed the wrong direction," he said. "Red Ridge is the other way. At least the way you'd want to go in with weather like this." The short one chuckled. Erin's pulse kicked harder. She stepped back toward her car door, casually, but the taller hunter stepped in just a little to his left, not blocking her, but close enough. "Well, I appreciate the offer, but I can handle the tire. You guys have a good night." The shorter one clicked his tongue and grinned. "What's a pretty little thing like you doing out here anyway? Hands like yours? Nails all new and shiny? This ain't exactly beauty parlor country. Hate to see you get hurt out here all alone." The taller hunter sent him a warning look. "Enough," he said sharply. Erin forced a small breath and kept her voice even. "I'll be fine, really." The short one took a step closer. "We insist." Erin swallowed. Her father's voice rang in her ears once more. "The moment you realize something is wrong, you're already behind." She reached for the door handle. The tall hunter's smile dropped. "He said, we insist." The next few seconds came with panic, the tall hunter's hand clamping around her arm with startling force. Her scream rose, but the empty wood swallowed it whole. The short one snickered softly. The tall hunter covered her mouth. "Ain't nobody out here, pumpkin. Not tonight." The wood stood still. "Let's get you off the road." Erin froze as the hunter's rifle barrel brushed her cheek, the cold metal gliding across her jaw. It trailed along her throat and pushed her hair to the back of her neck, pausing before sliding down the length of her spine. "Start walking." "Go on," the short one chirped. "Nice and easy, straight ahead. We'll tell you where to turn." Erin swallowed hard and took a step, then another, then another. "That's right, girl. 1 foot after the other," the short one added. "Elias," the tall man snapped. "Enough." So that was his name. Elias. Her boots crunched softly in the fresh snow. The only other sounds were the hunter's boots behind her and Elias's tuneless humming. Every few seconds, the tall hunter gave a direction. Left. Keep straight. Cross that log. Down that ridge. He never raised his voice. He didn't need to. The rifle did the talking. Erin kept her head low, breathing quick clouds into the air. Her fingers were stiff with cold. Her mind drifted between panic and numb calculation. Not that it mattered. She didn't fight, didn't run, and didn't scream. She did what she was told to do. Walk. When her foot slipped in the snow, she bent quickly to steady herself, a natural frightened movement. She brushed her hand across her ankle without thinking, or so it appeared. Keep moving, Elias barked behind her. Wait, please, she said, breath shaking. My boot, something's digging into my foot. I think a rock or something got inside. It hurts. Elias snorted. Oh, for fuck's sake. I'll take 2 seconds, Erin said quickly, hands trembling. I swear. The tall hunter's footsteps stopped behind her. A tense silence stretched. Make it quick. Erin crouched down, her fingers fumbling with the laces. Her breath fogged in front of her as she pulled the boot open and shook it. Snowflakes drifted into the opening. Her sock sagged slightly, loosened from the frantic walk. She tugged at it, trying to fix it. She removed the sock from her foot and lost balance, dropping the sock onto the ground and falling onto it. Damn it, she muttered. Now the sock was wet. Can't put it back on now, she thought. Elias groaned. Are you done? Almost. She shoved her bare foot back into the boot, wincing at the cold, tied it hastily, and stood. Sorry, she said. The tall hunter's response was flat and unbothered. Walk. And they continued on. The woods grew darker as evening settled. Erin fought the urge to look back. She could feel their eyes on her, their tension sharpening each time she hesitated. Cross that stream, the tall hunter said. She stepped over a thin ribbon of icy water. Something cold splashed against her pant leg. She shivered hard. You cold? Elias mockingly asked. Oh, poor thing. She didn't answer. They walked for what felt like an hour, or maybe even 2. Time moved strangely in the cold. The last of the daylight bled away, replaced by the faint glow of the moon catching on snow. At one point, her bracelet snagged on a branch. She was startled at the sudden tug. She untangled it with shaking hands. Elias snickered. You clumsy, ain't you, girl? Erin said nothing. Her throat was too tight for words. Don't you worry. We're almost there, the tall hunter said. Almost where? The woods thickened until the trees pressed in. Her breathing became shallow. Her pulse thundered in her ears. Up that hill, precious, the tall hunter said. She climbed, slipping twice. Both times, he placed a firm hand between her shoulders to steady her, and to remind her how easily he could shove her face into the snow. They reached the top. Below them, half hidden by the dense black shape of trees, sat a crooked old cabin with smoke threading from its chimney. One window glowed faintly orange from a lantern inside. Her stomach sank. Walk. She obeyed. As they descended the slope, Erin stumbled again, this time catching herself in a tree trunk. Her hand brushed the bark. Something snagged. Something small fell. She didn't look down. She just kept walking. The front door creaked like a warning. Warm, stale air spilled out. The smell of smoke, cooked meat, and something faintly rancid clung to the walls. Erin hesitated at the threshold. Gone? Elias said, shoving her lightly. His shove wasn't hard. It didn't need to be. Her fear did the rest. The tall hunter closed the door behind them, sliding bolt after bolt into place. The metallic clacks echoed through the cramped space. Erin looked around. A battered couch, a table with mismatched chairs, jars of canned meat lined on all the shelves, the fireplace smoldering low. Sit. Over there. She lowered herself into a chair near the fireplace, her fingers trembling as she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, a nervous habit she always had. The tall hunter dragged another chair across the room and sat across from her. His stare was steady and unreadable. Name: Erin. Last name: Whitfield. He nodded. From around here? No. You got family expecting you? Her heart skipped. Was he asking out of curiosity or planning? My dad? Elias perked up to that. Aw, daddy's girl. Erin didn't answer. The tall hunter spoke before Elias could continue. Put her in the little room. Elias clapped happily. Oh, she gets the little room. He leaned in close to her ear. You're gonna hate that little room. They marched her down a narrow hall, pushing her lightly from behind. Her boots scuffed against uneven floorboards. She reached for the wall to steady herself, a normal frightened instinct. They opened a door at the end of the hall. The room inside was barely the size of a walk-in closet. No windows, no furniture, just a thin mattress on the floor and a lantern that cast a long shadow along the walls. Elias shoved her inside and shut the door. 3 locks clicked. Silence swallowed the room whole. Erin slid to the floor, arms wrapped around her knees. She let out a long, shaky breath she'd held in for far too long. Her teeth began to chatter uncontrollably, from cold, fear, or exhaustion. She couldn't tell. She wiped her face on her sleeve. A streak of something faintly glossy smeared the fabric. She couldn't feel her lip gloss in her pocket anymore. She just cried softly into her hands. Later that night, muffled voices softly echoed through the cabin. Hey, Red, how much do you think we can get for her? I know we can get at least 100 out of her. Shit, maybe even 2, Elias said. For this one, I want 3, and I won't take anything less. How much is my cut gonna be? Better be bigger this time, Elias quipped. Once you go down and move her car to the junkyard, we'll talk more about your cut. Erin pressed her ear to the cold door, heart pounding so loudly she could barely hear. She was still too far away to hear exactly what they were saying. Trying to find another spot on the door, she stepped on an uneven floorboard that let out a sharp, betraying groan. Erin withdrew quickly, terrified that they had heard her. She curled back onto the mattress, shaking. Hours passed. Her legs ached, her throat burned, and her mind spun out of control. She slid her hand along the floor, desperate for warmth, comfort, anything. Her fingertips brushed something small. It felt like a giant clump of hair. Not even looking at it, she didn't want to confirm it was what her suspicions told her it was. She just whispered into the darkness, Dad, please, please find me. Time stretched strangely in the dark. Only the sounds of the floorboards outside her door and the low muttering of the 2 men who had taken her could be heard. At some point, She had fallen asleep without meaning to. When she woke, her throat was dry and her limbs were stiff with cold. Her body ached from tension she'd been holding onto since that night began. The lantern in the corner had burned itself out, leaving the room near darkness. Then the sound of footsteps started pounding closer to the door. A bolt slid, then another, then the last. The door opened. Elias stood there, shadows carving hollow into his face. His smile was crooked and too wide. "Morning, sunshine," he said. "We're gonna have a little talk." A tall hunter stood behind him, expression flat and unreadable. Erin pushed herself up from the mattress, her legs trembling. "I don't. Please. I just want to go home." "You're going to home all right," the tall hunter said. "But you're gonna listen first." He jerked his head toward the main room, and Elias stepped aside, motioning for her to walk. "Go on." Erin stepped past him, her breath shaky. Her ankle brushed the doorway. Her shirt sleeve caught on a splinter near the frame. She didn't look back. The main room was dim, but warmer than the little room. A pot simmered on the stove, steam curling lazily upward. There were chairs set in a rough semicircle around the fireplace. The tall hunter motioned to one. "Sit." She lowered herself carefully, her hands twisted in her lap, her pulse hammered against her ribs. Elias paced behind her, humming this little broken tune. The tall one crouched in front of her, elbows on his knees, staring deep into her face. "You understand why you're here?" Erin swallowed. "No." "You were in the wrong place, at the right time." A slow smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. "Did you really think that flat tire just happened out of nowhere? We watched that road. People pass through every day. Trekkers, tourists, kids heading home for Christmas. Most of them keep going. Most never catch our attention." He tilted his head slightly. "But you did." Erin's voice broke. "Because my tire..." He cut her off with a soft, amused sound. "Oh, sweetheart. You really think your tire going flat was just bad luck?" The hunter's smile stretched wider, not warm, but pleased, like a teacher enjoying a slow student finally catching up. "When you stopped at that diner a while back, we were there." Cold washed down Erin's spine. "We watched you walk in, watched you sit by the window, watched you check your phone for the 4th time, like you were waiting on someone." He leaned in closer, lowering his voice to a near whisper. "You passed every other car on that road, but we followed you." Elias snickered behind her, pacing like a restless dog, thrilled by her fear. "You drove about, 40 minutes before you slowed down, right before mile marker 31. His grin sharpened. "That's when I took the shot." Erin's blood turned to ice. He tapped his temple. "I have a wicked aim, don't I?" He said it like a man proud of his craft. "You didn't even swerve. Just eased over like a good, careful little traveler. Didn't panic, didn't speed up. You handled it beautifully." He spread his hands. "And now that's why you're here. Not because fate hates you, not because your car failed you. You're here because we chose you back at the diner. And because I don't miss." He reclined in the chair, utterly pleased with himself. You stopping wasn't a mistake. That's what everyone does with a flat tire. No, your mistake was being worth that bullet. He slowly spread his arms open again, as if presenting her like a prize. And I don't shoot what I don't want. You're going to be worth a pretty penny. And I mean a pretty penny. I have people lined up for you. Erin's vision blurred, panic clamped around her chest. You're not the first, and you won't be. A gunshot ripped through the window. Glass exploded inward. Elias screamed, stumbling backwards. The tall hunter dove behind the table, dragging Erin by the arm instinctively as they fell. Another shot cracked through the cabin, splintering wood inches from Elias's head, hitting him with debris. He shrieked. "What the? Who is that?" Elias screamed. The tall hunter snarled, "How the hell should I know?" Erin crawled toward the wall, heart pounding, ears ringing. Outside, heavy footsteps crunched through the snow, slow, steady, and deliberate. Someone's approaching the cabin. Erin wiped the blood from her lip with her trembling fingers. Her breath came in ragged bursts, but when she spoke, her voice was steady, steadier than it had been since the moment they made her walk from the road. You know what's funny? All this time, you thought I was scared, helpless, and lost. I used to think my dad was insane for teaching me survival skills when I was 6 years old. 6. While other kids were learning the jump rope, I was learning how to get out of zip ties, how to mark a trail without anyone noticing, how to stay calm when everything in your body is telling you to scream. Elias blinked, looking confused and terrified. What are you talking about? Erin took a step towards him. You two are fucked. Absolutely fucked. You idiots never even noticed, did you? She held up her hands. See how I'm missing 6 of my fake nails? Her sleeve dangled in tatters. See my shirt? I tore it on purpose. She lifted her foot slightly. I had 2 socks on when you took me. Where's the other one? Elias's face went pale. Remember when I had something in my boot that I had to get out? Didn't happen by accident. My bracelets, all 3 of them, gone. She tapped her neck. My necklace, gone. She leaned in, eyes burning. And that tube of lip gloss you saw me put on, also gone. Elias shook his head, voice shaking. We didn't see you. We didn't. No. You didn't see anything because you two were too busy playing hunter to notice the trail I was leaving. My dad taught me to survive, and he taught me to be found. If someone steals you from the world, you leave a trail back to it. Someone will follow. Maybe not quickly enough to keep your heart beating, but fast enough to make sure your story doesn't end where they wanted it to. Her father stepped into the doorway behind her, rifle still trained on the shaking man. Erin's voice dropped to a lethal tone. Every piece I dropped led him right to you.